What's going on, guys? Here on a beautiful South Florida morning, working on the Chevelle, getting it ready to fix a couple of issues that we saw on the body, and so I'm basically DAing the car down right now to prepare it for whatever we put on top of it after we finish doing a little bit of body work that it needs. But it's expected with a 54-year-old car, guys. I mean, this thing's really solid. I've been sanding on it. You can see fenders are in really good shape. A little bit of plastic at the bottom of that fender. Door's really solid. The only reason I started sanding it and I didn't go through the paint is I want to try to see if I can polish it up. I saw this chip of paint here and the paint's pretty shiny underneath it, like they forgot to sand it. But you can see, guys, there's cracks in the primer right there, all the way around the wheel, the bottom of the wheel. The rear quarter's gone. So let me get this thing down to gold the rest of the way, aside from the trunk and the hood and the roof. But let me get the rest of the car down to the gold, and then I just want to see if I can polish it, because I think I can get some of the paint to shine. I mean, it's unfortunate that the car was primered, but let's see what we can do. All right, guys, so I got this side of the car pretty much done. Fender, I just got to do the top of the fender. I got to do the roof and the trunk. Quarters are done, and the hood, obviously. This panel is the worst one on the car. It looks like it got hit. Didn't look like it had rot in it, or much rot. It just looks like it got hit and it was just a poorly repaired job. Because when I come down here and I hit it with the sandpaper, it's all metal. But it looks like it maybe had a dent there, like all this was repaired prior. This car was repainted because it's got clear coat on it, and we all know GM used lacquer back in the days when they painted these cars. So what I did was I sanded the whole car down with 320 just to get the primer off it, because it had 99-cent spray can primer on it, and whatever we do over the top of that is not going to work. So I did that, 320. I would have rather done it with 400, but 320 does the job. So now what I'm going to do is I'll hit it with 400 real quick, wet. Probably do a little spot by hand. I'm not going to change the pad on a DA because I still got to do the roof and the trunk and the hood. And then after that, I'll probably do 600 and then 1,000. Now, if your car was clean, like you can see, I did this side already. You can see probably in the past videos, I did this side. If your car was clean and the paint was clean and there was no body work, like say this door, you know, that's just with 320 getting the primer off it. It'll come back. You could save your car. So, I mean, if it was just a little spot on the door like that down there, or a little spot on the fender, or even this little spot on the quarter panel where it got dented as well, you could blend the car in. We'd go see Mauricio, our paint guy, tell him to mix us up some two-stage in a can, this color, give him the VIN, and he'd be able to go back and check the color code in one of his books and get us the right color, and we would blend it. And then you'd spray it. Then you could wet sand it, you know, with 600, 800, 1,000, and kind of blend it in. Will it be perfect? No, it's not going to be perfect, but it would be good enough for a driver, which is what this car is. We were talking about doing that, but being that I found all this other body work on this quarter panel, and then the bottom of the doors a little bit, I'll show you. This door is actually pretty good. It's just the bottom of this fender a little bit. It's not worth blending it because we're going to have to end up spraying most of the car, so we're just going to spray the car, I think, in some kind of epoxy primer just to seal it up. And then when the owner of the car wants, he can lock it up in body shop hell for 2 years while they do the paint and body work on the car. But I'm pretty sure he's just going to drive it. So I'm going to wet sand a spot with 400 and then with 600 just by hand real quick, just to show you guys that you can bring the paint back. And then I'm not even going to compound it. Then I'll go to 1,000. I think we got 1,000 or 2,000 in there. I'll go the next couple steps, and it'll bring it back enough to where I would be happy with it, where it have like a nice flat sheen to it. It would kind of look like a satin finish. But then you can go one step further and compound it and polish it and bring a lot of the paint back. So this is what it looks like in 1,000. Now this quarter panel is the worst one on the car. It must have, you know, when they dented it up or whatever they did or whatever they fixed, they sanded this whole quarter down so before they primered it, so it had like no clear left on it. But you can see, you can roll with that, kind of like the distressed look. It's a little flat, faded. You could tape the car up and clear coat the whole car like that, and it'll be fine. But what I did do is I came over to this side, and now you can see on the top of this quarter, it's almost got a little shine to it. Well, I hit that with 1,000 and a little bit of water with my hand, and you can see, you can adjust how you want the body lines and the distress to look. The more you sand it, you hit the lines more, you break through a little more. Just wet sand it, hit it with 1,000 right there, and you can see it cleans up all the primer and everything. So if you have a car that somebody spray can primered for some stupid reason, or even just put regular primer on it, if you're careful, you can take the primer off and you can protect the paint underneath to a certain degree. You're not going to win Pebble Beach or anything like that, but it would look good enough for you to drive around. And then, like I said, if you had a little bit of body work like that, if it was just that one quarter, me and Tommy would blend that thing and do the whole car like this. But you can see I did this right here in 2000. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to see if we got any compound in there. I think I got some left from when I did the Monty, and I'll do a little spot by hand and show you how you can bring this paint back, and it'll have some shine to it. All right, so got the other side. You know what, guys, let the compressor run so you can hear what I'm saying. I'll be right back. All right, guys, compressor's off. So this is what it looks like with 2000, this part of it. So this was 320 to get the primer off, 600 real quick just to clean it up a little bit, 1,000 wet to clean it up and get the rest of the little gray primer off it, and then 2,000, no compound. So you can see how flat that is. Looks pretty good. I'd be happy with that. I'd drive the car around like that all day, flat gold. I love the color. I'm outvoted though. Everybody else hates it just like they hate all the chrome going down the side of it. I love it. But it's not my car, so I can only make a suggestion. But as you can see right here, you can see the other Chevelle next to this. So this was 320 to get the primer, 600, 1,000, 2,000, 1,000 and 2,000 wet, and then Meguiar's Ultra Cut compound. That's the only compound I like to use. That stuff is great, unless you're getting it from like the body shop place. But if you got to get some in a rush and you need to go to the auto parts store and get it, it's $48, but it does the job. That's what I used on the Monte Carlo, and it came out great. So you can save your paint if you're careful and you take your time and you buy a Chevelle like this, has somebody rattle can primer with 99-cent paint, or El Camino, or your Nova, some 18-year-old kid, you bought a Honda Hatch from them and you want to get the primer off it, that's how you do it, right there. DA 320, I start with 400, take your time, just enough to get the primer off, try not to dig into the clear too much or the paint. And you can go to 600, or you can go to 400. Actually, I like to start with 400. 400, 600, 1,000 wet, 2,000 wet, and compound. And your car, if the paint is good and you're smart and you know, take your time, you can get the primer off the car and make the car shine. Now this car's had a repaint because, like I said, there's clear coat on it, and they didn't clear anything back then. They used lacquer, but it works. It works regardless. If this car was in primer and there was decent paint underneath it, you could take the primer off, do what I did to that car, those couple spots real quick, and get it to shine and look decent and be enough to drive around and be respectable. I mean, if this car didn't have that bodywork on it and it was all gold shining like that, even flat, it would look great. I love the gold, but again, not my car. So, and I guess that's it, guys. I mean, just a quick little video explaining how to take the primer off the car. If somebody has done this to a car that you're trying to purchase and you're like kind of iffy about it, but you know there's paint underneath it and the body's good, you can take the primer off, guys. You can even take paint off on top of paint if you're careful, but that's a little bit different. The primer's a lot easier. So, and got some good news coming about this car. I'll fill you in when I finally know all the details. Guys, have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.